In a world where power reigns supreme, where every individual is blessed or cursed with unique abilities, Elit stood apart. He was a nobody, a blank slate in a gallery of oddities. As Elit watched from afar, he saw fear turn to screams, and then to silence. When he finally approached the village, he saw a massacre. Homes were burnt, corpses littered the ground, and the survivors cowered in a corner, their faces etched with terror. The enemy he faced, the very forces he was preparing to vanquish, was not a singular entity, but a cluster of insidious malcontents. His powers and skills were growing exponentially, yes, but so were the threats he faced. The enemy was no longer a distant spectre, it was a living, breathing menace that stalked him in his dreams and haunted him in his waking hours. And as he grappled with this unsettling realization, Elit understood that the battle he had prepared for was not a battle at all. It was merely a prelude to a much larger war. For in that moment of utter desolation, he realized the true source of his power. It was not brute strength nor magical abilities, but the boundless expanse of his intellect, the sharpness of his mind. But because he had shown that even in a world filled with magic, and mayhem, brains could be just as powerful as brawn, he went on to become a leader, a mentor, and a beacon of hope, proving that it's not where you start, but how you finish that truly matters. He embraced his role as the underdog, the underestimated, the blank slate. He used his lack of superpowers as a canvas to paint his brilliance upon. This was his true power, the power of intelligence, of strategy, of calculated precision. And these malcontents were not just powerful and numerous, they were multiplying. He used his wits, his knowledge, and his skills to outmaneuver his opponent, turning the tables and claiming victory for himself. It was a battle that went down in legend, a testament to the power of intelligence over brute force. The bad guys closed in on Elit from all sides, attacking him not just as a warrior, but as a person, as a friend, as a protector. He was surrounded, besieged, and outnumbered. Every step he took toward victory was met with 2 steps back. Elit's homeland, the place he called home, the place that had nurtured him through his darkest days, was under attack. The enemy had come for him, but they had also come for everything he held dear. And in the end, despite his best efforts, Elit failed to protect his home. He watched as it burned, as it fell, and as his dreams crumbled around him. And with each passing day, the darkness within him grew stronger, whispering doubts, feeding fears, and tempting him with promises of ultimate power. It was as if the darkness that plagued his world fed on his ignorance, growing stronger with each passing moment. Instead, he dug his claws deeper into the fabric of the world, seeking purchase, seeking an advantage. And in his darkest hour, when all hope seemed lost, when he was battered, beaten, and broken, he found it. It was not a grand revelation, no bolt from the blue, but a simple, small, yet profound piece of advice from a venerable sage. The sage spoke to Elit of untapped potential, of hidden strengths, and of the boundless reserves of the human spirit. And in those words, Elit found renewed strength, a reason to keep going. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, a grim tableau of human cruelty. His peers, shadows twisted with arrogance and malice, never missed a chance to remind him of this fact. All those years of humiliation, of being the odd one out, all the pain and misery he endured, it surged up within him, transforming his sadness into a blazing inferno of anger. With newfound clarity and determination burning bright in his eyes, Elit decided to act. He would avenge the fallen, protect the weak, and in doing so, perhaps find a place for himself in this world. They taunted him, jeered at him, their words like stones hurled to break his spirit. But what they didn't see, what they couldn't comprehend, was the steel trap of his mind, a weapon far more potent than any superpower, waiting for its moment to unleash. Elit lived a life of quiet desperation, enduring the jabs and mockery of his peers, until one fateful day, when the neighboring village, a place filled with life and laughter, was brutally attacked by a horde of marauders. In the midst of this horror, something inside Elit snapped. And so began Elit's journey, a journey from zero to hero. In the before the midpoint stages of his adventure, Elit immersed himself in the realm of battle. He sparred with seasoned warriors, studied ancient texts on combat, and trained his body to its breaking point and beyond. He wanted to be strong, not just strong enough to defend himself, but strong enough to stand toe-to-toe with the most fearsome warriors of his world. Slowly, but surely, Elit honed his skills, each movement becoming a lethal weapon in itself. He might not have had superpowers, but he was turning his life into one. However, just as he neared his goal, as he could almost taste the sweet nectar of triumph, a horrifying revelation struck him. At the midpoint, Elit found himself on the edge of a precipice. The war escalated quickly, yet even in the face of such overwhelming odds, Elit refused to back down. The all-is-lost moment arrived like a thief in the night. But from the ashes of this defeat, Elit rose again. In the final showdown, Elit faced his nemesis, not with brute force, but with calculated precision. As peace returned to the land, Elit was hailed as a hero not because he had superpowers,